There is not a better place to make it happen than Canada and North America, let's say. You need to be committed to excellence, and the only way it works and it happens is by learning more. Every day that you do not learn something new, you stop making progress.
Welcome to another episode of the Canadian Dream Podcast. Today, I have a special guest from Iran who has been in Canada for about 4 years. He has a lot of experience in business. He owns the business here in Vancouver, Canada. And I will ask him lots of questions about how hard or how easy it was to become an entrepreneur in Canada. Peyman, you came here with an assistant. How many people do you have working for you right now?
Currently, we have 6 full-time employees at the company.
I guess you have a lot of employees that are also immigrants. Is that correct?
Absolutely right. Because personally, myself, have experienced the difficulty and adversity at the beginning to find a job. Many people did not put trust in us because of not having a Canadian experience on our resumes. But people with solid backgrounds, very bright background in the past. So I decided to trust them. And it all, come back to us in being professionals and building a great, bright future for the company that with the experience they have built so far, we take advantage of that as well.
And you came here only 4 years ago. Is that correct?
Right.
Where did you come from exactly? And why did you decide to come to Canada?
Before getting to Canada, my wife and I spent time in Hong Kong because I incorporated Chalabi Holdings Limited in Hong Kong as an offshore trade company that we mostly purchased worldwide and sold commodities worldwide. And also we were into financial industries as well. And we found that the Canadian dream and American dream might come with more opportunities for us and build a better future for both of us to serve the community in the worldwide, let's say, global scope. And because of not having knowledge of the North American style of business management, I decided to pursue my education again here, Master of Business Administration, to join the university here and study and let's say back to basics of the business management at the global scale. And that was the time that I gained a lot of experience, getting in contact with a lot of professionals in our industry, and then I decided to start my own business here.
So before we dive into your experience at the university and then later on starting your own business here, let's go back in time and describe your childhood to me and whether you had any dreams to leave Iran as a child or as a teenager, or did it only happen in your adulthood?
I have a great childhood with my parents. My father also was an entrepreneur, great businessman. I'm really proud of him. He unfortunately passed away only 3 months after my wife and I landed in Vancouver, and it was in COVID time, and then we didn't have the chance to take a visit to him for his last moments of life. But he left his legacy for me to how to look at the world of business and how to stay in touch with other entrepreneurs and create something you love in business world.
What kind of business did he have?
He was a manufacturer back in Iran, and then also he was into producing metal and also all things about traffic signage, and things about mostly city management.
Did you work in the company with your daddy?
Not, let's say, too much, because I was in my, let's say, teenage years. And I was preparing to contribute to university, and then I didn't have that much of chance of working with him.
But he led by example. You could see that
I could see that every time, every moment that he was on the phone, he was in a meeting with other, let's say, the other business people of himself. And then I learned a lot from him indirectly, let's say. That was amazing, a great university for me to how to learn from your parents, especially the entrepreneurs that started from scratch themselves without any support from their own parents in the past.
And Peyman, why didn't you decide to stay in Iran and grow your business there?
Recently, it was too difficult to do the business the way you want because of the sanctions on my country, because of not getting open worldwide. Many countries You did not have the chance to open bank accounts and, do the transactions. And then that put me under a lot of pressure. That was the main reason I moved to Hong Kong, because Hong Kong was a free world in Asia.
How long were you in Hong Kong for?
Almost 3 years.
And then after that, you still went back to Iran?
I went back to Iran because of, again, banking issues with the Hong Kong banks and also Chinese banks, because of my nationality of being Iranian. And that put a lot of pressure and difficulty onto my business. And again, I worked with a lot of manufacturers in Iran over the years of 2017 to 2019 before I migrated to Canada.
How was the first day when you arrived in Canada?
That was quite, because I did my homework. I researched a lot before I moved. That was not the first time I was away from home.
And you came prepared.
I tried to become prepared, but North America was a different world compared to Asia.
How different?
It's a multi-ethnicity destination. A lot of people from a lot of other nationalities are gathered together, mostly above average. You know what I mean? Just if you want to decide to pursue your capabilities and a skill set that you had gained over time in the past, there are many other people and individuals with your expertise, sometimes higher, sometimes better. So you need to know how to build that roadmap to success for yourself, because people here had already paid the price of being away from home. So they are prepared to handle difficulties and adversity that they might suffer from here. And that difficulty that they are suffering from at the very few months of arriving, it creates innovation. They turn innovative people. And because of that innovative mindset, they will create new journeys and new roadmap for themselves, finding new destinations, finding new solutions to the problems.
So you keep saying they. Are you describing your own experience? Is that how it was for you?
It was for me, and because of my, let's say, my specialty in getting connected with a lot of other entrepreneurs. I have almost 300 businesses in my clientele base at the moment under company, and I have heard it a lot of times that they would love to see and to build something new. That's the main reason, because they went under the difficulties at the beginning of their arrival in the country.
Yeah, so tell me, how was it for you at the beginning when you first landed here and getting started, finding a place, going back to school?
Not easy. When I arrived here, the main concern of myself was to find a job, because I was away from my business in Iran. There was no source of income. I submitted my resume for 49 companies.
49?
Exactly. And that was the time that students already were in the market, because that was the summertime. And neither of them invited me for an interview.
None of the 49?
Neither of the 49 resumes that I've submitted. Although I have a very thorough let's say resume and background in business. And I thought that maybe I was overqualified compared to what they were expecting to have. But because that Canadian experience part of my resume was missed, because I was a newcomer, so no one put trust in my expertise and capabilities from the past. And I can remember easily that I submitted 49 resumes over a 3-month period, neither of which worked for me. And I decided then to start working for retail and to be a general clerk. And after 3 months, I came back to Iran. I was about to forget about migration. Then I came back to Iran, see my wife talk together, and then see my business in Iran, and then remember all the adversity that I already had in Iran doing business. So I decided again to pack up everything and then move back to Canada and pay.
So you actually gave up at the beginning?
Yes, I gave.
You were ready to go back?
49 resumes that I submitted for 49 different companies.
And then when did you finally land a job?
I left Vancouver to Iran in September, again came back in December. And after 3 weeks, I found a job in Whole Foods Market. In meat and seafood section and department. I worked there for 2 months. Then I moved to Save on Food for 6 months as a general clerk in the cash. And I was happy out of this, because I was experiencing the environment in Canada. How does it work? How the system works? How do people pay for their commodities? How they react and how they behave? And then after that, I was thinking to myself, hey, man, you built your empire back then to your country. You can do the same thing. Mostly the regulations and let's say the principles of success works worldwide in the majority of time. If you work hard, if you set your objectives right, if you try to do your homework and see the future that you want to make, let's say, you can make it again here. So I decided to incorporate my company right after my graduation from university. I can remember that I was graduated from university on December the 20th. And I rent my office space on January 1st.
Oh, wow.
So only in 10 days, I rented an office. And in 2 months after, I incorporated my company on March 1st, 2021. So I already had, I believe, $20,000, let's say, to invest at the beginning. And then nothing else. So I tried to make it happen. And then I decided to introduce my company to all businesses that might be of a help to. So I tried B2B at first because I was thinking, what can I do to serve the majority of businesses' needs? And I thought that the majority of entrepreneurs, they have the idea. They know the management style. They know how to tackle some difficulties in the business management. But let's say perhaps the major difficulty and the major obstacle on running a company is funding and is business financing, is to find the financial resources that can serve the company in the long run.
And that's the business that you started.
That's the way we started. And that's the thing that, hey, where the money is. The money is into banks. The money is with the government. The money is with the investors. So I decided to think about sources of money.
And who was your first client? How did you really get started?
I can easily remember that, but it was before I started the company. I was doing my degree, and one of my classmates, she was aware of my capabilities in management and business consulting. So she referred me to a school. I was a Farsi school, and I started supporting them, and I technically transformed their business 100%. So the number of students got raised, the physics of the business and the office get changed, and they have started their Canadian school and they have started their college. So I just was with them to the entire journey. And then when I incorporated the company, I started visiting accountants and brokers and realtors and talk about my business because they had the clientele base to introduce me to other clients. And they worked as an intermediary to build trust because as an immigrant, I do not have any clientele base here. No one trusts you. No one knows you. People might like you, but to do business with you, they need to trust you.
Right.
And through that, that intermediary level of other individuals and professionals, I built a network of professionals. And I tried to be the member of BNI, many different organizations, to introduce myself. And I can easily remember that one of the first client of mine, let's say official client, after I incorporated the company, was a restaurant owner. And he owned 5 restaurants in Persian cuisine. And I tried to support him to get funded with Business Development Bank of Canada. And it was the toughest client I have ever had
in
the entire journey. It was not because I was, let's say, at the beginning, but because that client's condition was too complicated.
Okay.
Not just for me, but for the bank as well. And
what was the outcome?
The outcome was approval, was something that we both were happy out of this, but that was not my best project and performance, let's say, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot from others and individuals and other businesses. And then never quit. I completely know that that's the mission of myself. You know what I mean? That's the mission that I have to complete it. Giving myself the opportunity to learn from the bank advisors, from other business owners, from other entrepreneurs. And over time, because I did not quit, I learned a lot to how to serve them. And recently I hired 2 more individuals in operations, and I was talking with them about how the system works and what the value propositions of the company are. And then they got amazed how it happens, that amount of information in my mind, and they can write, pages and pages and pages about something that is in my mind. And that comes from reality. That's not just about books. That's about real projects, real cases in the marketplace that I experienced. Every case was a unique case for me.
You completed your MBA for 2 years.
Right.
Do you think that it was realistic what you were learning in the classroom? How practical was what we learned in the classroom?
It depends on the projects that you've got in hands.
Mm-hmm.
When you study, for example, pharmaceuticals and try to be a pharmacist, not all the drugs and medications you learn are going to be applicable for all the cases and problems of your patients, of the patients in the marketplace, let's say. But depending on that diseases that you are dealing with, those medications come across. But to be very precise, I personally use 30 to 40% of my education.
And what was the most valuable lesson that you learned during the university or at the university during your MBA?
That was a strategic management subject. That was something that, let's say, forms the mind of the entrepreneur, that you set some objectives for the company and also for your personal life, and you have to look for strategies to how to make it happen through the corporation that you have built for yourself. So that is strategic management. There are marketing management and there are human resource management. Most of the human resource management, it does not work for small businesses.
Right.
It works for giant conglomerates, let's say very big corporations with thousands of employees, that eventually you can finally find ways that you can use and take advantage of the knowledge that you have learned so far. But in a strategic management, even small businesses can find their roadmap and pathway to success.
What does the mind of an entrepreneur look like?
Stress, pressure.
All the time.
But not quitting. You can see the future. The future sometimes is bright. The things that you want to do, it's not just for yourself. It's also for the community. Mm-hmm. The successful entrepreneur always look at that what is my mission in the world? Why I have been born? And that why, answer to that why is the mindset of an entrepreneur. Because entrepreneurs believe that there is something unbeatable, unique, that only I can do for the community. And I have to contribute my responsibilities and my role for the success of the entire community. This is something that is in the mind of an entrepreneur. This is not just about money. This is not just about finding your, let's say, favorite car or the mansion you want to live in. This is something more than that. And I believe this is the mission of the entrepreneur. Always get obsessed. Entrepreneurs are obsessed with this kind of mindset.
I agree. Yeah, the obsession is definitely common amongst the entrepreneurs.
I can remember the story of Steve Jobs once they got accepted into stock market at NYC in New York. And then once he just received those funds, he purchased for himself a motorcycle and also the Mercedes-Benz and a mansion, and said that's all I expected from the business, from my personal life. And now let's go for something big.
Now let's reinvest.
Let's create things, let's be innovative, and then create big things for the entire world.
There's 2 things that you mentioned a few times that have caught my attention that I really like. One is that you seem to be always taking advantage of experiences to learn.
Yeah.
Even when you worked as a cashier at Whole Foods, I was learning about people, learning from the banks, learning from from my classmates, from the school, etc. The other thing is never giving up. How important are those in the equation of becoming successful?
You need to be committed to excellence, and the only way it works and it happens is by learning more. And that learning and that training is a lifelong training. Every day that you do not learn something new, you stop making progress, because all other members in your society and industry are learning new things. And the world is changing. Every day, new things are adding to the world as of knowledge. And if you do not learn, you will be stopped making progress. This is one of the most significant keys to success, to learn more, to get trained. And another thing that you rightly mentioned is to never give up, never quit, and you have to mean it really. For not just yourself, you are going to set a great example for your subordinates and associates and other team members that when difficulties arise, you have to just decide to never give up. And the only way to never give up is to keep moving forward. You need to keep moving forward. Easily, that's the way it works. You have to just get up in the morning, take a shower, wear your suit, and then get out there. Get out there to your office and then start thinking about, how can I make this happen? How can I resolve this issue? How can I get helped? And as an entrepreneur, one of the most brilliant ideas I have ever had is to talk to others, learn from them, and ask for help. When you have difficulties, there are people out there that can help you.
Right. Now, what did you learn in the last, say, 2 or 3 years about networking and about people in Canada specifically? Things that you wouldn't have learned in Iran or in Hong Kong, for example.
Oh, that is a great question. And I have been asked that question several times because I emphasis on networking as immigrants, as people who step into the place that we were not born in. Neither of us, even our ancestors, our great-grandparents, neither of each have been born here. So as a result, we have to build the network of people that know us. And this is not something that happened by itself and spontaneously. You have to have a plan.
Many people think that networking is just socializing, meeting people, but you seem to be very strategic about networking.
Exactly. So
therefore, networking.
Oh, perfect. So this is something that you need to be the active networking activist. Let's say someone that has always have business cards on you, someone that always tries to get connected with other people in every gathering, every professional events that you might contribute to. And then the main reason behind it is that I look at every single individual as an opportunity to learn more and to have great business with. Even that specific person is not your ultimate, let's say, opportunity to work with in a long run. They absolutely know 200 more people to introduce you. Every individual at least knows 200 other people that can connect you with.
What have you learned that is specific to Canada about networking and about people? Because I'm sure talking to someone in Iran is different. Doing business in Iran is certainly different.
Perfect question. On the one hand, Canadian themselves, and also on the other hand, people who moved here, they seem far more open-armed to you. And then the environment and then the let's say, what can I say? The entire atmosphere that have been built among people here to talk about their capabilities is far easier getting disclosed, that people get friends easier, let's say here, because people have already left everything back home and moved here to build their future. So this is not just about you making your future. Others are also looking for doing that. They try to build that intimacy far faster and easier compared to the place that I was born in. And but this is something that I learned. If I ask someone to do something, or if I want someone to be in my network of professionals, they accept it faster, they accept it easier. They want to build it bilateral, two-way. It's not just one way for me, myself, I experienced it with a lot of bank advisors, agents, and relationship managers. At first, I was thinking that banks are here and I am here. Government is here and I am here. But over time, I learned that they are also looking for building connections and communications with me as well and other associates of myself because they want to make it two-way. I'm helping them and they are helping me. So this is something I learned, that never be afraid of asking others to be in your network.
And what mistakes do you commonly see other immigrants doing when it comes to networking?
They get far better friends and faster, but when they see dishonesty, not to be punctual, not to be loyal, not to be committed as you already presented yourself and sold yourself, so it ruins everything.
You want to give me an example?
Yeah, I have connections in my network that we built a great relationship at the beginning. But over time, when we do business together, I realized that, for example, that person do not answer calls on time, do not reply emails on time, do not, let's say, do the things that they claim they are capable of at the beginning because of building that connection and network with us. And then as a result, that ruins the connection with not just me, but also the network of myself, because I try to let others know about that specific person, be very aware of working with that individual because he was not loyal to his commitments, yes, whatever that they claimed at the beginning.
And what tips would you give to someone who is struggling to getting started? You have been there, you were a newcomer, you were a student, knowing nobody or close to nobody in town. What, let's say, 2 or 3 pieces of advice would you give to someone to start networking in Canada?
First things first, you need to know yourself, your skill set, before you try to start getting connected with others to build your network. You have to love yourself. You have to trust yourself. Then others will trust you and like you and start working with you. And you need to be honest with yourself. I was honest with myself. What do I know and what I don't? Okay? What I don't know is something I need to work on more. And I tried to make a list of the things that I tried to be good at and also the things that I am already good at. And I tried to build strengths out of my capabilities. For example, I knew that I am a better speaker than some of other friends of myself. I was good at math. I was good at numbers. I was good at building that connection and then breaking the ice of communications and easily ask people to do things that I really want them to do. But I was not good at banking and then, let's say, financial terms and conditions. I was not good at regulations by law and the Canadian government. I was not good at many different things. So I tried to be honest with myself before I want to start building connections with other people. That, hey man, these are the things you are very good at. You need to still be good at them and be excellent. And then I try to write the things down, these steps. What are different steps that if I take them, I can be excellent at what I'm doing? Because the marketplace here in North America is really competitive. You know that? If you try to be mediocre, you will be removed from the network.
Yeah.
No one wants to spend time with you because you are not loyal, because you are not an expert in your field, because you are not honest, and the things that majority of us are aware of. But on the other hand, be honest with yourself and write down the things that you are not good at and always you were scared of. And then you need to talk to instructors. You need to take classes. You need to, let's say, think big if you want to build that network with others. And what's the ultimate objective of building a network? Why people create networks? What's the answer to this question? Because they want to be successful, because they want to generate more revenue, because they want to sell more of their products and services, because they want to be prosperous. Am I right?
Yeah.
It's not just being famous in the community. It's to be the source of, let's say, mercy in the community. And to be in that position, you need to be excellent.
Interesting.
And you need to tell others that, that I'm good at doing these things. You need to sell yourself. If you do not advertise yourself, no one else will advertise you. This is advertising yourself. This is working hard, advertising yourself. Let every single person in your community to know about you and your expertise.
And how do you advertise yourself without coming across as being cocky, arrogant, or salesy?
I ask questions from people. I do not want to be the only man, to be the only speaker. I want to listen to them, to be the active listener, and then try to ask questions from people before you come up with your own words is the thing that builds trust. And to advertise yours, I can remember that the first thing I did when I incorporated a company, I went to the boss in Pacific Mall and purchased a piece of suit for $2,000. And then I already had $20,000 and 10% of that went for the suit at the boss store. And then tried to hire my photographer and ask him to do the photography for me, to put it on my social media website anywhere that I could do that professionally, to advertise myself, and then
wearing that boss suit.
And that was amazing because I tried to look excellent, to look professional, to look someone that people can trust, at least at the beginning. And then when they started working with me, they learned that, hey, this man is a trustable person because he works really hard. He is loyal to us. He's committed to what he already claimed out of his service portfolio.
And now that you have reached a certain level of success, you help other individuals set up their businesses in Canada. Is that correct? Or you help them get to the next level with more funding?
We have two different clientele base, two different categories. The one that wants to start their own business from scratch, that they have a couple of different options. They can start their own brand from scratch. They can buy an existing business, or they can get a franchisee offer from franchisors in North America to start.
And are they also immigrants or anybody?
They are, not just only immigrants, anybody, any entrepreneur, any business grad, anyone who already worked for others and now wants to, start the entrepreneurial journey to see the prosperity out of that higher income levels. And the other category are existing businesses. We have clients that are already, maybe one of them is 50 years in the marketplace. And then again, they reach out to us for funding options, to franchise their business, to open new stores elsewhere, and then we support them full.
I want to talk about the opportunities that Canada offers for business. But before that, let's talk about the challenges. What are the main challenges that come to your mind when it comes to starting a business or to taking your business to the next level?
First thing is about the regulations. Immigrants and the newcomers and the ones that were not in the entrepreneurial environment before, they are not aware of regulations. So we have a lot of different entities in Canada that are supervising the businesses financially, legally, and many different things. So there is a city of Vancouver, for example, WorkSafe BC, CRA, many different entities that people are not aware of. Okay, so this is the first challenge, that when they go with one entity, they ignore the other, and then in the long run, they face difficulties dealing with that. The second thing is about funding resources. They do not have sufficient funds when they want to start. And the ones that were entrepreneurs back to their home countries, they want to do the business in Canada in the style and the management style they did in the past in their own country. And it won't work. If you want to be successful in North America, you have to gain that managerial skill set in the North American style. To be more supportive, to be more open to the community, to look friendlier, to build more trust for others, and then to be excellent at what you're doing and what you are offering to the company.
Oh, that's interesting. So relationships come first and then competence.
Because the network members, the professionals who are in your network already, they let you know about the things you don't know. They train you. They openly let you know about the tricks of the business management. They teach you how to be better at what you're doing. This is the unique characteristics of North America that others also want to see you make progress. They support you to be at their place. They do not defeat you. They do not want to push you out of the game. They want you to stay in the game and play with them. This is something unique about North America that I have understood so far.
Tell me more about it.
I have seen several businessmen and then several businesswomen in North America that they were really successful. They are managing multi-million-dollar companies, and they want to teach you how to govern the people under your control, how to make your organization bigger. They want to let you know about the style. And if you want support, this is my card, this is my business card. Feel free to contact me. I will let you know how to manage your company, how to boost your organization, how to develop your performance, how to open new stores. They openly support you. And barely I see people that are not really willing to disclose their success secrets, let's say.
So tell me, who in Canada will definitely fail? What skills or what habits do you need to have if you want to guarantee that you will fail in business in Canada?
There are two very dangerous words in the business management in North America. The first thing is hope. If you always hope that you make progress, it never works. You have to have a plan and replace the hope with a plan. Because when you hope something, there are millions of people in North America that hope for their success. And the ones who work harder, the ones who have a plan, the ones with sufficient network and also the funds, they will get successful. But you only with your hope will fail because you do not pay the price earlier. And the second thing that you need to be aware of is credit. You need to build a great credit history for yourself at both the personal and the business level. If as an entrepreneur you ignore your credit, you will fail. No one will support you. So this is the credit. When I say credit on both sides, the credit score, the credit history, the credit payments, the credit, because when you are an entrepreneur itself, it's not something as a reward you gain. It's outcomes.
So now, what does someone need to have in order to succeed?
You need to have knowledge. Know-how of what you
understand your industry.
Exactly. And it's not just about your personal level. You need to have consultants by your side. Everything you need to do, every decision you want to make, you need to consult with others who have been already into the market for longer years. So this is the, let's say, compiled knowledge of yourself and your consultants all together to make it happen. That is officially asking for help from those who know more than you, okay? And the second thing is always make sure that you have sufficient funds on your side. Because when you have errors, you have mistakes, you have things that never get precedented and then never get projected to happen, the majority of time you can push it away with money that you have.
Mm-hmm. Do you recommend that people start a business after they have saved a little bit, or should they, in certain cases, go ahead and get funding and start the business with money that is, in theory, not theirs?
It depends on the size of the business you want to run, but mainly I advise people to not to use your savings. Try to use the money from financial institutions and also other people that can join you, merge with you, make the bigger partnership happen, and then try to make it work. Because if you run out of cash and run out of, let's say, savings of yourself at the beginning, it's very hard to finance your company as well. But having that saving in your account support the bank as well to back you up. You know what I mean? If they want to approve you, if they want to be with you, they want to see that you've got already the savings available, then they can contribute to your journey as well. But if you already only decide to be dependent on the savings of yourself in the account, you cannot imagine how fast they get vanished.
So if I understand, instead of burning your cash or risking your cash, burning it, you should leverage it and borrow money, of course, wisely, and spend it wisely.
I can remember Jim Pattison once told Peter Legg in an interview with him that if we haven't had banks on our side, we never built that empire over years. So even at the level of Jim Pattison Group, which is almost one of the top 5 companies in British Columbia, maybe the second on the list, they always rely on the supports from banks to make it happen. So having debt financing or borrowing money from the financial institutions is not a bad thing itself. What is bad is not having the capabilities to return it back, not having the business, which is not on a good standing of sales.
Yeah.
Sales is something that the majority of entrepreneurs ignore. They want to build it. They want to go for marketing. They do advertising, but they ignore sales. So sales is a completely different scenario and completely different thing than marketing and advertising. It's building a sales team.
Closing deals.
Closing deals, this is an art itself. How to close deals, how to prospect new customers, how to present your products, how to handle objections. This is something that is a completely different thing than marketing and advertising, that you need to have sales professionals. You need to have a sales team trained. You need to have sales consultants to return on the money, all the money that you already borrowed for running the business. You need to be very active in sales and setting sales objectives and figures for your next coming 2, 3 years, 5 years, to make sure that you can gain more cash inflows. You can ask more people for joining you as investors. These are all going to be dependent on your sales figures. Yeah.
And how much of that did you learn from your dad?
My father was a great salesperson himself.
Yeah.
So I can remember we had the supermarket in Iran, and then he was there. He was there all the time, selling things that he was traded earlier. And I was watching him as a youngster. I was 7 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, and I was looking at him, how he talks with other clients, how he sell the products, how he get more deals happen. It was not just about supermarket things. That was a kind of beginning, but even in real estate and realty, let's say, activities that he had back to home, I learned a lot from him.
Do you have a Persian network that you are especially connected with here in Canada?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Without having that Persian network, we could have failed very earlier. So they supported us. They trusted us because we were professionals in our industry, and they wanted to have that language, let's say, communication skills to talk about financials easily in details.
Are there any special traits that are, let's stereotype here, that are more common amongst Persians or Iranians that you appreciate?
Their loyalty to professionals that they have good relationship with. If they found someone trustable, they will stick to them. They barely replace you with others because they like you, because they love you, because they trust you. And this is something that is sometimes specific for them, that barely want to replace you with others, because at least once you help them, making something happen for them and supported them.
And when you look around and you see people who were born here in Canada, do you think there is anything specific that you wish Canadians would learn from immigrants?
Oh, it's 2 words, which is hard work.
Hard work.
Exactly. I barely see, not all of them, actually. I'm not aware of the majority of the group, but I see that immigrants are far more hard workers than people who were born here, and taking advantage of the supports of Canadian government with the amounts of cash that the government has got. So Canada's government is really affluent among other countries in the world, and they got supports from the day they were born.
Yeah, they got too comfortable by the time
Exactly.
they are adults. Yeah,
and also high education. I mean that university education that immigrants are bringing to the country, something which is barely taken care of among the Canadians themselves. That with the complete, complexity of both these things that I mentioned, it's better to be on the higher professional level. I believe they have the privilege of being in Canada from day one, so they can build great companies here compared to people who have lived 30 years, 40 years back to their country, and they want to start a new journey at the age of 30, 35, 40.
most of the time in a new language.
Exactly.
Completely different.
Exactly.
On this note, before we wrap up, what piece of advice would you like to give to anybody who is either thinking about coming to Canada or who is already here but would like some wise words so they can actually get the motivation that they lack to go and try to achieve their dreams?
I want to come up with a quote from Donald Trump that as long as you're thinking, think big. And this is the place to think big. This is the place that there is no specific limitations for how big you can think. Because if you want to make something big happen, there is not a better place to make it happen than Canada and North America, let's say. If you want to make it happen, you have got all the things that you need together to making it happen. You have connections, you have open world, you have freedom, you have money, you have cash, you have investors, venture capitals. We have great companies here. Examples of 200, 300 years of operating in companies that it's barely you can find companies like this in the world that we have in North America. And then you have the knowledge, you have expertise, consultants, professionals, network to making it happen.
Yeah. And all in English, the world of business.
All in English.
The language of business. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is something that I can come up with as the piece of advice: to think big and then organize. You need to be disciplined. If you do not decide to be a disciplined individual, no one else can make you disciplined. If you decide to wake up 4 a.m. in the morning, you have to be disciplined and do that. If you decide to get to bed early at 9 or 10 p.m. to make the other day the very brilliant day for yourself, you have to be disciplined to do that. If you want to study 3 hours a day, this is not an easy thing to every day study for 2 to 3 hours in your specific field to be specialized and to be expert. You need to be disciplined to make it happen. So that discipline and having great time management, these are the things that will move you forward and then make something big happen for you. Absolutely. It works for millions of other people. So it works for you too.
Excellent. What are you up to now? What's your next big dream?
Our next move hopefully will be in real estate industry, because many of our current and existing clientele base are looking to develop their businesses, open new stores, open new offices elsewhere, and they have difficulties finding the right property to make it bigger. So we decided to join that real estate industry as well and try to make it faster and facilitate the entire journey for them.
And we're going to put the link to your company in the description for the podcast on YouTube, on the website, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Thank you.
Where would you like people to find you? Would you like people to find you?
Oh, it's I really love to get connected with the majority of our community, because otherwise we cannot be aware of their needs. Really, my mission in the company DruckerPro company, the mission is that we need to provide social welfare and prosperity through economic development. We know that if the economy get developed, we can have our social welfare happen. We can make people prosperous and then build that welfare they all are seeking for. And that's the main reason. If we do not get connected with more people, we cannot listen to them, and we cannot know about their needs, desires, and dreams, that we can be a very small part of their journey to make it happen for them.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much, Elton.
And thank you for listening to this podcast or for watching it on YouTube. If you are watching it on YouTube, remember to like this video, to share it, and to subscribe to our channel. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next episode.